Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've ever felt just completely exhausted trying to keep up with endless wellness routines, you are definitely not alone. I mean, we've all been there, right? Today, we're doing something different. We're shifting away from that heavy guilt of falling off the wagon and moving toward pure, empowering strategy. We are diving into the systems approach to a holistic lifestyle.
So let's just start right here. What actually comes to your mind when you hear the word holistic? For a lot of us, it conjures up these exhausting images of perfect, highly disciplined routines. We picture someone waking up at 5 a.m., chugging a celery kale smoothie, having zero stress whatsoever, and somehow never getting angry at afternoon traffic. But what if I told you that definition is just completely backward?
We absolutely need to dismantle that myth. The big trap is this idea that holistic means a fragmented checklist of healthy habits driven entirely by willpower. But the reality, it's so much more connected than that. Holistic simply means understanding how your daily choices interact as one living system. Think of it like a traditional courtyard house. You can't just buy a fancy new sofa for the living room and expect it to magically fix a leaking roof or terrible airflow in the rest of the house. The rooms matter, for sure, but so do the open space, the airflow, and how people actually move through the home. If one part is blocked, the whole experience changes.
Okay, so your life, this house we're talking about, is really built on a three-part framework. We're looking at your body, which includes your sleep, food, and movement, your mind, which involves your attention, stress, and self-talk, and your environment, meaning the people, the noise, and your physical space. These aren't three separate lives you're desperately trying to juggle. They are three forces acting on the exact same person. A change in one area is absolutely always going to show up in another.
Let's break that down. Think of your body like the dashboard of a car. Fundamentally, your body is a signal system. When you're fatigued, or when you get those weird cravings for sugar at exactly 3 p.m. every single day, or random back pain, those are warning lights flashing on your dashboard. We love to beat ourselves up and call it a lack of discipline, but it might actually just be a biological warning sign trying to tell you that the system is running with a hidden problem. Ignoring a blinking check engine light doesn't fix the engine, right?
Now, think of your mind like a lens on a camera. It acts as our meaning-making system and interprets what the body and the world are experiencing. A dusty or cracked lens changes the picture entirely without actually changing the world outside. I mean, two people can face the exact same flight delay. One thinks, hey, it's a manageable chance to read a book, while the other thinks the world is literally ending and their entire day is ruined. This means the stress you feel is heavily influenced by your internal story, not just the external events happening around you. And then there's your environment. Think of this like soil for a plant. We humans absolutely love to overestimate our willpower while completely underestimating our surroundings. But here's the honest truth. Your environment quietly shapes your behavior long before your willpower even bothers to wake up. It acts as the soil that ultimately determines if a plant grows strong, weak, or struggles to survive at all. A constantly noisy room or a household filled with conflict, that is poor soil. Your best intentions are always going to struggle to take root there. Now, you might be thinking you need to perfectly align all three of these to achieve some magical Zen-like state of balance. Absolutely not true. Balance is dynamic. It's much more like driving a car or navigating a ship. You don't just point the wheel straight once, lock it in place, and never touch it again. You are constantly navigating, staying in tune with your body, mind, and environment, and making small adjustments as your daily needs and the seasons of your life inevitably shift. To really see how this engine runs, picture your system like a set of interconnected gears. Let's look at what happens when things go wrong. We call it the friction loop. One point of friction hits, say poor sleep. That tired body gear turns and grinds against the mind, creating stress. That stress mind affects your behavior. Maybe you snap at a coworker or leave your workspace an absolute mess. Now your environment is chaotic, which basically guarantees tomorrow is going to be even harder. One jammed gear compromises the entire mechanism. But here is the absolute beauty of treating your life as a holistic system. We can reverse those gears. We can create a momentum loop. If you start with just a calmer room, maybe spending literally 5 minutes tidying your desk, your focus immediately improves. Better focus means less stress. Lower stress leads to much better sleep. And better sleep means your body actually recovers, making the next day so much easier. Small, supportive choices compound into a self-reinforcing system. It's exactly like pushing a heavy bicycle. It takes a little effort to get moving from a dead stop, but eventually the momentum effortlessly carries it forward. When we map this all out, the connections become glaringly obvious. Every part has a specific job and a specific consequence when you neglect it. Ignore the body, you don't just get physically tired, you get irritable, and that spills directly into the mind. Ignore the mind, you get stressed and confused, spilling right out into your environment. Ignore your environment, you generate friction and distraction, which completely drains the body's energy. They are inexorably linked. You literally cannot isolate them.
Have you ever tried to start a new healthy habit and it just felt impossibly hard? This happens because of something called internal resistance. It's this invisible friction that makes simple things feel incredibly heavy. You want to focus, but your environment keeps interrupting you. You want to eat well, but your energy is completely unstable. When your healthy habits fail, the issue often isn't a lack of motivation, and it's definitely not a personal weakness. It's simply that your system is set up in a way that creates constant, exhausting friction working against you. So how do we actually fix this? Well, we have to stop looking at isolated bad days. The key here is to look for the pattern underneath the pattern. I really want to empower you to stop asking, what single habit should I fix? And definitely stop feeling guilty about skipping a workout that one time. Instead, take a step back, look at the deeper structural pattern. If the exact same bad day keeps repeating over and over, the problem is no longer the day, it's the structure behind the day. Which brings us to the ultimate clarifying question. This is a total game changer. Ask yourself, does my life make healthy behavior easier or harder? Just let that sink in. This question cuts right through the guilt. It stops you from over-personalizing every single struggle and helps you objectively pinpoint whether your physical environment, your schedule, or your daily structure is quietly draining your energy behind the scenes. Honestly, this requires a pretty major identity shift. You have to move away from being the advice taker. You know, the person constantly asking, what isolated habit should I force myself to do today? Instead, step confidently into the role of the system builder. You start asking, what kind of system am I actually living inside? You're no longer just collecting exhausting, fragmented wellness tips. You are now fully empowered to read your life as a beautifully interconnected system. So I'm going to leave you with a challenge to wrap up this explainer. Where is the hidden friction in your system right now? Think about it. Is it a chaotic workspace? Maybe a late-night scrolling habit that's completely wrecking your sleep? Take a hard look at your life today. Spot your specific weak links and start making those small, compounding adjustments. Because remember, just shifting one gear can change the entire momentum of your life. Thanks for joining me, and keep building those systems.